We did a meeting during 𝐂𝐒𝐒 Academy last week, which is my 6-week boot camp for streamers, and a lot of our students were talking about how they were feeling like they overanalyzed everything that they were doing. And this made me think back to whenever I was a small streamer and all of the crazy emotions that I was feeling back then. That just absolute desire to try to grow my stream. And also that feeling of just being completely lost. And when you're just completely lost as a streamer, you end up second guessing literally everything that you do in order to put something out into the world, whether it's a new YouTube video or even just another stream. It takes a monumental amount of effort for you to even put that thing out there, because you have to stop yourself from trying to make it perfect. It literally feels like the success of your Twitch stream is completely reliant on that single piece of content's quality. It feels like every single piece of content can make or break your stream. And this ends up leading to something like analysis paralysis, where in order to make that piece of content perfect, you feel like you have to learn so much about making a YouTube video or streaming. And so you end up just watching tons of YouTube videos about it, consuming all of this information about it, to the point where you're consuming so much you're not even making the thing. Or if you don't look for those resources to fulfill all of these questions that you have in your mind, you just have to sit there with all of those questions and analyze your stuff over and over and over and try to figure out in some way, hoping that this information will come to you, whether or not the thing that you're creating is actually good enough. You end up feeling like every new stream, every new YouTube video, every new tweet out there can make or break your channel. You put so much pressure on every single thing that you do. It's no wonder that so many small streamers are feeling constantly overwhelmed and upset. So we need to talk about how you can stop overthinking, overanalyzing, prevent the analysis paralysis, and actually start making more of the stuff that's gonna help you be successful as a streamer. If you've ever felt like this, let me know down below in the comments. What's up everyone, it's Ashni. I've been a stream coach for 2.5 years, and the most recent vivid memory that I have of this analysis paralysis and this just absolute fear of creating a thing and putting it out there was with my ebook, Build Your Dreams Stream. I researched this book for months because I didn't think that I knew enough in order to actually write the book while I was writing it. I thought that there was going to be some level of information that I would know about writing an ebook that would eventually make me feel like, oh yeah, I actually can do this and it is going to be good and people are going to like it. And guess what? That information was never revealed to me. So I have a lot to say on this subject. We're gonna get into it. As always, if you have any questions for me or if you need some emotional support, you can come hang out with us in Discord at discord.gg/ashnichrist. There are so many of us who feel like this with our Twitch streams and everything that we make, but why am I saying that you need to change the amount of analyzing that you're doing of your content? Why am I trying to tell you that this needs to change if you want to be successful on Twitch? The reason it's so important for you to stop listening to that part of yourself that's telling you to analyze your stuff constantly is because there are tons of other streamers and creators out there who are not listening to that voice. Those people are just putting stuff out. They're not letting their thoughts prevent them from just creating. And instead they realize that, okay, maybe their stuff isn't that great right now, but they're just gonna keep putting it out because they either enjoy it or they know that they're going to improve in the future. And so what's happening there is, if you compare an overanalyzer to a non-overanalyzer, is that the non-overanalyzer is putting out way more content versus the person who is overanalyzing themselves and holding themselves back. You're gonna put out a lot less because you're attaching so much significance to every single thing. Now, this isn't inherently wrong, right? Like, everyone is kind of going at this Twitch streaming thing at their own pace, but the speed that someone who is not overanalyzing themselves is going to be so much faster versus someone who does overanalyze. And new people are joining the platform every single day, including lots of new people who are not going to overanalyze themselves. This means that the non-overanalyzers are going to end up surpassing so much faster versus you, who's not putting out as much as they are, and new people are coming in to do this all the time, so you're constantly trying to battle against this voice versus all these people who are consistently coming in that don't have to. So you're always kind of behind. This is why when it comes to being successful in general, people who are overanalyzers tend to not really make it. That's not to say that they don't have the skills or that they're a lesser person or that they're not deserving, but it's more so that they are listening to a mindset that is actually holding them back from the success that they want to see. But I was able to stop listening to that voice. You're able to stop listening to that voice, and there are a lot of ways that you can do this, which I'm going to outline for you right now. The first thing that helped me stop listening to this overanalyzing side of my brain was I heard about a story that's in the book Art and Fear. Art and Fear is an amazing book for streamers, by the way. It talks about how you don't have to be Mozart in order to be an artist, and how ordinary art is just as important as people who are geniuses at art. I'll leave a link for that down below, and also a link for an article that goes a little bit more in depth about this pottery class idea. But essentially the pottery class story is a story that talks about the importance of quantity versus quality. So a ceramics teacher divided his class into two groups. He told one group that they would be judged on the quantity, the amount of pots that they created, and he told the other group that they would be judged on the quality of pots that they created. And what ended up happening at the end of the class was really surprising. The group that was told they would be graded on quality spent so much time theorizing and planning and overanalyzing and overthinking with analysis paralysis that their pot ended up being way worse versus the people who just completely made tons of pots. If you want to be a really great streamer someday, it's not about trying to be the best right now. It's actually about getting more streams and more experience under your belt so that you can be the best someday. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't focus on quality at all, of course. It just means that stop letting quality get in the way of quantity. I can't tell you how many people I have worked with who have put back streaming or YouTube or creating a product or creating some new project or something, and they put it so far back because they feel like they have to put tons of effort and planning into it first. It's actually counterintuitive. You want to just create the thing and then keep innovating on the thing that you created. Remember how I told y'all to look for knowledge and learning from outside of the streaming industry? This is something that I picked up from the online business or entrepreneur space that I find to be so perfect for Twitch streamers, and it's this idea of just ship it. When you're making something new for the first time, sure, you can spend a ton of time researching it, developing it, and putting all of this effort in ahead of time before you actually release it. But you're not gonna know nearly as much about how people like the thing that you created until you actually just put it out there. You might end up putting something out there that you put a ton of time into that people just aren't receptive towards for some reason, and they end up disliking it. And then you've wasted all of that time that you put into it. This is why in my business, Stream Coach, we didn't put a ton of effort and energy into the brand before we actually ended up launching it. We don't want to build an entire website and spend thousands of dollars on design and have this entire funnel system set up before we know whether or not we're going to get consistent clients. And that's the same for a lot of you small streamers. You don't need to be investing all of this time and attention into a thing before you launch it. You just need to get started. Just ship it. After you ship it, then you can innovate on it and improve on it based on the feedback that you get from other people. Here's another one I got from the online entrepreneur business space. God, I love these guys. And it's this idea of done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect because perfection is unattainable. This is another thing that I learned whenever I made my ebook. I kept constantly thinking of new things to add to it over and over and over. And it got to the point where I knew that I would always be coming up with more things to add to the book. And so at a certain point, I had to cut myself off and say, all right, no more. And all of the ideas that came to me after that cutoff point, I didn't end up adding to the book. Yet the book has still sold over $30,000 at this point and helped hundreds of people understand Twitch at a deeper level. That's something that wouldn't have happened if I had just overthought this project into oblivion, and if I was still working on it today, it definitely wouldn't have helped all those people. Now, you especially don't need a perfect stream, because streaming is a process. It's something that you do over an extended period of time, and you can always improve the stream every single day. Yes, focus on improving the quality, but don't make yourself feel like it has to be absolutely perfect to be valuable. Next one is actually from one of our coaches on our coaching team, and her name is Violent Blue Mech. She had her own financial planning business for over 20 years, and it's such an honor to work with her because she has been coaching for so long, and she has a way of talking to people that just blows my freaking mind. But her strategy for combating overanalyzing and analysis paralysis is this idea of ready, fire, aim. Normally, whenever we create something, we think that we have to get ready to make the thing, and so we get all of our equipment and we get ourselves mentally prepared and we clear out some time in our schedule, and then we aim and we think of like, well, when should I stream and who should I be streaming for and what does this entire path look like for me before I've even fired, and then we fire, right? So we put a lot of planning time into it before we end up executing on anything that we've been planning. But ready, fire, aim is the idea of, yes, get all of your equipment, get everything together, but then just start and aim over time. Improve your audience and what you're looking to do and the value you're trying to give people and how you're going to monetize everything and make it a business. But don't hold yourself back once again with this idea of perfection from just firing the thing and getting it out there. If you're at the point where you're ready to prepare a little, by the way, check out my workbook. It's completely free. It has the 6 exercises that I used to figure out what kind of brand I wanted to build. I think my favorite strategy for overthinking and overanalyzing is this: create hot garbage. Yes, I'm serious. If you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel or streaming or starting a new project, what I want you to do is challenge yourself to make the biggest piece of crap you have ever made. When you create an absolute piece of crap, the only direction you have to go after that baby is up. And if anyone has any criticism to say about that thing that you created, it doesn't matter. You meant for it to be crappy anyways. This is such an easy way to get yourself to just create, because you take this massive responsibility of this piece for being responsible for the entire success of your career. You take that away and it's no longer responsible for your success. And a lot of people that end up using this strategy say that they actually had a lot of fun. The more that you can have fun with anything that you do, whether it's online content creation or not, the more likely you are to stick with it long term. Who wants to live a life where they're just freaking miserable all the time? Not me. I don't know about y'all. I think one of the perspective shifts that can be really helpful if you find yourself overanalyzing constantly and feeling all of this overwhelm is this idea that you don't have to be an overnight success. It's not your job or the job of your content to immediately convince people that you have value, especially if you're newer or you're small and you haven't quite figured it out yet. The responsibility that you should put on yourself and on your content content is that you learn and grow over a period of time. And that might include doing some things that make you feel really uncomfortable, because that's where growth comes from, is getting outside of our comfort zone. I wouldn't have learned all of these lessons that I'm able to share with you today if I hadn't made the ebook, which forced me in a very uncomfortable position to learn all of the things that I learned. Being great is not something that you do right out of the gate. It's something that you become by challenging yourself over and over and constantly innovating and improving and learning new things. And it's the same for you. All of these uncomfortable lessons that you're having to learn as a streamer are actually a massive advantage, because they're forcing you to stretch your skills and get better. And that is the advantage that you need to start looking forward to if you want to make it as a streamer.